Before we begin, thank you very much to Jonathan C. for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you very much for the support. You are also at my top level, so you get a video request. Go ahead and DM that to me over Patreon if you could, please. Thank you very much for the support. Again, this is like day 4 now. I'm serious. You don't want... Please, don't get into the streak thing again. It's... Like, I can't stop you, but also I can go... No, don't. Oh, well. Okay, so... This, as you can see, like, I really was just kind of looking forward to just, like, going to bed. And just... But... Takara Tomy decided to do insane things. They decided to do something absolutely crazy. So there was a toy show in Japan. Where they decided, let's just throw everything out at once. So a while back, we got this logo tease from Takara Tomy. And we heard that, okay, May 8th was going to be the drop date for it. And we thought it was just going to be 40th anniversary Transformer stuff. And it kind of is. It kind of is, but then it goes way farther. So this is T-Spark. And T-Spark, as it turns out, is an umbrella for an entire mini franchise of a ton of stuff. Just like, frankly, an absolutely epic amount of stuff. So, I was going to cover all of, like, the 40th anniversary Transformer stuff that got dropped and announced. But to be fair, a lot of it was just in-hand photos of a lot of stuff that we've already seen. It was like, here's a painted proto of Super Jinrai. We've seen that. Here's the new Missing Link, Bumble, and Cliff figures in person. It's kind of cool to see them in person, but, you know, we've got official images out. You know, we pretty much see those. The only thing new, like super new, noteworthy, that's actually not part of T-Spark, I'm going to bring it up just to get people off of this, because it's getting confused. So, they announced a brand new Lio Convoy, which seems to be a heavy retool of the Legacy mold. I can already tell that dopey lion face is gone. Thank you, Takara. But this seems to be a completely new line for the anniversary. It is numbered TF40A, which implies there's going to be more of these. It's got the 40th anniversary logo attached to it. But this seems to be the only brand new 40th anniversary specific item that they showed off. Everything else in T-Spark is completely its own thing. And by its own thing, I mean, here's how it starts. Okay. There's a lot to take in this image. We're going to go through it one by one. We're going to start with the obvious place, which is this absolutely gorgeous IDW Rodimus that's square in the middle. Okay, so let's talk Transformers, because it's a Transformer channel. We'll get back to the rest in a minute. So, AMT01 Rodimus. So, this line is called Adamas Machina. So, literally, Steel Machine God. That's a title. Adamas Machina seems to be a alloy figure series. According to the Google Translate I did, it really pushed the word alloy on me, which means this might be die-cast. This might be die-cast on top of just being an insanely detailed Rodimus based on his IDW appearance. Here's the interesting thing. It's actually the design Flame Toys did, which is derived from the IDW Rodimus design, but they put their own spin and tweaks on it. Of course they did. And here is that exact same design, except now it seems like it's going to be an actual Transformer. Refine, transformation, movable. Okay, so this is going to get insane. So we can already see it is going to be highly posable. You can see all the different joints going into it there. That's what you would expect. The Flame Toy version was exactly like that, so that's not really a surprise. fully transforming is something the Flame Toys didn't do. If you are licensing Transformers out, you almost if you're like taking the Transformers license to do something, you are almost never getting to make something that converts. Almost never. So I guess Takara Tomy just has said, no, we're just going to do it ourselves. Ambitious, super cool looking, and a design I thought was like long in the making, like screaming into the void. Why didn't you do when Generation started doing IDW designs? Why didn't you do Rodimus? He's like the main character of the best book. I don't get it, but we're finally getting it in a completely official capacity, which is awesome to see. Here's something else that's awesome to see. It was actually on the show floor. So this is a painted prototype. So that is why a lot of the surface seems really glossy, because the whole thing has been hand painted. Very hard to tell if it really is die-cast from this particular shot. But we can at least get a good look of how the final product is going to look. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. And hopefully, because it's Takara Tomy producing this and it's not a specialty item, it's not going to be ridiculously expensive. That said, everything under the T-Spark umbrella seems to be aimed at adult collectors, and it seems to be made at a very high quality level. So it would not surprise me if this thing tops $100 and basically worked itself out to be like a mini masterpiece in actual like production cost and pricing. They showed off the prototype with a vehicle mode too, and this is genuinely really impressive. Like, if I go back here, like, you take a look, where are the wheels? Where are the wheels? I don't see the wheels. Are they that buried in the shins? Are they somewhere in the torso? They're there. I can see them there. The fact that this thing could, like maybe in the shoulders. It might be in the shoulders. But look. The fact that they can actually make that thing transform, and it just looks that good. I'm like shocked. Of course, it's Takara Tomy. I expect them to do really good engineering stuff. Just to complete this, they did show off the weapon, like the accessories. So he gets his traditional dual blasters. He gets his buzzsaw, iconic. I'm not sure what that extra piece is. I think that's a communication device from IDW. Could be wrong, don't quote me, because it's been a long time since I saw it, and I don't recognize the shape offhand. But it's going to be a very, very nice Rodimus. And then they did something crazy. They teased what the next one was going to be. Go big or go home, I guess. Alright, so Adamas Machina 2 is going to be Predaking. They had not clarified if this is going to be just a really big action figure, or if it's going to have any kind of transformation element to it. What we can tell from this line art, it's going to be based on how he looked in Call of the Primitives. You know, the insanely well-drawn G1 episode where Predaking looked absolutely amazing. This is going to destroy a bank account. Probably my bank account. Probably many of your bank accounts, because if this really is like a full combining set, oh my god, it's gonna be absurd. Absolutely absurd. Now, that's the Transformer stuff, kinda. We got a little bit more to discuss here in a bit, but we want to take a look here. Back at this photo. Yes, there's a lot of other images, a lot of logos. Some of these images you recognize, some of them you don't. So let's just kind of like go through the rest of it here. So I should mention that Rodimus is actually marked as AMT01. Adamas Machina Transformer 01. Why include the T? Well, because apparently Adamas Machina isn't going to be just a Transformers line. There is also an So, do you remember when Bandai and Takara actually did like a cross-promotional thing so that Takara got to produce like a little white base in their like Hot Wheels style line of like toy cars? And then Bandai got to do a Chogokin Liger Zero, and I said, wow, that's really unfair. Apparently Takara Tomy agreed, because that Liger Zero completely sold out on its first run, sold out on its reissue run. So they apparently saw that and went, why are we having someone else make this when we can make it in-house? And you can tell that that was the mindset, because look at who they're going with first. It's the Berserk Fury. It's one of the Liger Zero's main rivals. Of course, this is meant to pair with the Chogokin that they let Bandai produce. Not a shock, really. I would expect Ligers to come in this eventually. After all, it is 0-1, so obviously they are going to be doing something else for this line eventually. It's just kind of cool to think about. It's just kind of cool to think about that one-off thing is now going to go even further. So, if you got your Liger Zero, get ready to have a fight. Now, that's not it for Zoids. Not by a long shot. So, there's also something in that listing called Realize Model. And apparently this is just Takara Tomy straight up deciding they're going to do model kits. Because, to be honest, it's not something they really touch on, you know? They don't really do their own. They kind of let, especially in recent years, they kind of let Kotobukiya handle all the model kit stuff. But they are apparently coming out swinging with their own stuff, because we are getting a Shield Liger from Chaotic Century. Okay, I guess, yeah, okay, if you're not going to do a Liger Zero, yeah, fine. We'll go to the other major Zoids brand. We'll do the Shield Liger. Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice. There's cooler Ligers in that series, so I hope we get those eventually. Blade Liger, please. Give me a Blade Liger, please. But that said, Genosaur is also coming to the line. Both of these models look pretty good. I have no idea if they're actually going to scale with the existing Kotobukiyas, but it's interesting that Takara Tomy has decided to bring this back in-house. Now, it's not the only Zoid-style model kit we're getting, but these are going to be done by Kotobukiya, and it's another one of the names that you can see. It's one of the new logos. So this is Metamor Verse. And apparently it is Takara Tomy kind of doing their own version of Frame Arms Girls, another Kotobukiya line. But they're taking that experience and they are adapting it to not only original characters, but Takara Tomy characters as well, starting with these two. Once again, we have a Shield Liger with what I think is a made-up girl. I don't recognize her. The one on the right, just kind of like, oh, where have I seen her before? Where have I seen her before? Just like scratching. It's just like scratching the back of my brain. Where have I seen it? It's Fiona and Zeke from Chaotic Century. It's been a long time since I saw Chaotic Century, so I only recognized them visually. I couldn't remember their names or where I saw them from at first. Would have been really bad of me to just like flat out say, oh, looks like they did an original design too. I don't recognize that Zoid. No, I do. I do. It's an interesting direction to go. And it doesn't look bad. I mean, you know, it's not my kind of thing, but also I really liked Chaotic Century, so to get a figurine of Zeke, you know, that's posable, that's actually kind of cool. To get a Fiona that's like armored up and ready to fight is kind of cooler. I don't know if they're actually coming with the mini ones or if that breaks down into the weaponry and armor they're holding. I'm not familiar with the Frame Arms line, so I don't know if that's a thing they do. I just know heavily armed anime girls. That's basically what I'm aware of that line. But the thing is, they said that according to the article I read, this is not just going to be a Zoids thing. Takara Tomy is going to introduce more of their own franchises into it, including Transformers. That's going to be interesting. So, moving on. Here's the one you probably didn't recognize. Now, here's a whole bunch of different teases for different characters and designs. You got some vehicles mixed in, some animals mixed in, some generic soldiers going on. This is Project M, which is a tentative name. That's not the name of it. They haven't decided on the name just yet. But from this, you might already see a little bit of familiarity. Some of this might already kind of like poke you in the brain and go, you've seen stuff like this before. It might get a little bit clearer for you if I go to one of the full color art examples, because it is a very distinct art style that we are working with here. So, just take a minute, take it in. Does it remind you of anything? How's it looking? Yeah, let's just get around to it. I'm going to drop a name on you right now. I'm going to drop a name on this next slide. Kojima Productions. It is an action figure line in conjunction with Kojima Productions, specifically Yoni Shinkawa. Sorry. Takes me a couple tries on a Japanese name. But if you don't know that name, you should, because he's the guy who did all the artwork for the Metal Gear franchise. This is like Kojima's right-hand man, and he's doing an action figure series with Takara Tomy. That's kind of absurd. This is Takara Tomy coming out swinging. Like, this whole, like, all the reveal for T-Spark has already been absolutely mental, and then you're going to drop that on us, too, that you're working with Kojima. Kind of insane. Kind of insane. So, to this point, what do we have? So, to this point, we've already got nuts stuff. We have apparently a die-cast transforming line coming out from Takara Tomy that is also going to include Zoids. They're going to be doing their own model kit line. They're going to let Kotobukiya do additional lines themselves, kind of like their frame arms girls. And apparently, this is stuff that Takara Tomy also is hoping to put other outside brands into as well. They want to go even farther with some of this. And then there's the last part of it. There's the last logo that we saw, Toyrise. Fairly simple name for something that's actually pretty extraordinary, because the first thing they showed off is Great X Kaiser. For the first time in over 20 years, Takara Tomy is going to be producing Brave toys. That is absolutely insanity. It's even crazier when you realize that for the last 20 years, the Brave franchise has been owned by Bandai. Because it wasn't Takara who came up with the series, it was Sunrise. Specifically, it was basically Sunrise. Just to keep it simple. And Sunrise was bought by Bandai. So they currently own the rights to the Brave franchise, which is why you've seen it licensed out to model kit companies left and right. It's one of those franchises that Bandai really doesn't want to handle themselves, so they kind of let other toy companies mess around with it. We're dealing with the same thing with Hasbro putting Power Rangers in the hands of Playmates toys right now. Similar idea. But this means that Brave is kind of coming home. And 20-some years later, Takara gets to do it again. And they're starting where they started with a brand new X Kaiser, which, I don't know, I've seen a little bit of contention online about how these look. Admittedly, I don't know much Brave outside of Gal Gaigar, so when I look at this, I go, wow, that actually looks really cool. I don't know the series, but if I get the chance, I wouldn't be objecting to picking this up. Looks kind of cool to me. I don't know, I like big robots that transform into things. That's all I can say. I do think it's amazing they get to do it. And then there was another pick. There's another picture that came up that went along with this that kind of freaked me out. And it's just the line art. It's just the line art, and exactly what the toy's going to be capable of doing. And then you look to the right. You look to the right. Whew. Whew. I just looked around at my robot collections, I looked at my Brave figures. I have Brave toys from Soul of Chogokin all the way down to like DX Gal Gaigar figures. You know what I don't have? I don't have a Genesic. You know, the closest I have to a Genesic is the Super Robot Chogokin that I got from a fan a long, long time ago, and it's the bright green version. It's not the one that actually looks like he does in the OVAs. And then Takara told me he's just going to do this. As soon as, like, literally a day after I realized I don't actually own, like, a proper Genesic Gal Gaigar, do I? And then they drop this. So the interesting thing about this, you can see on the left, it's actually much smaller than X Kaiser. And it's actually listed as DLX. Which does bring to question. If, you know, how many, like, are we getting, like, multiple sublines here? Like, one that's DX scale, one that's Masterpiece scale. Because here's the important thing that a lot of people, you may not even realize this. Takara told me, despite doing all the toys for Gal Gaigar, never got to do Genesic. By the time those OVAs came out, Takara was completely out of the picture. The license deal expired. So this is the first time, like, when I say they're picking up where they left off, not only are they going back to where they began, but they are literally resuming from where they ended their own Brave toy line with a deluxe-sized Gal Gaigar in Genesic form. I don't know how well it's going to go with your old DXs you might have been hanging on to for 20-odd years, but it's extremely cool to see. I am incredibly looking forward to this. And this is still super weird because the exact same show had another company that showed off a Genesic Gal Gaigar they're making, which makes this even weirder. But I guess it also justifies them doing the deluxe version because that one seems to be bigger and way more involved. But no, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. This was an incredibly exciting batch of announcements, especially if you are a fan of Transformers and Zoids and Brave, because this is just mental. It's absolutely mental. We were just assuming it was going to be 40th anniversary Transformer stuff. I don't think anyone anticipated T-Spark was going to come out swinging in every direction. It's literally like the most crazy toy line I've ever seen, with like 5 toy lines already built into it. Oh my god. It's madness. So that's what we got. And just the pictures and a little bit of the tidbits and information I could gather from a quick Google Translate. It's exciting stuff. It's really, really cool what we got coming out. Yeah, and some of it is, I think most of it's due like 2025 actually. So we might have to wait a bit. It might be worth the wait though. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Let me know in the comment section what you're looking forward to the most out of all of this. It's a Transformer channel. I'm assuming it's going to be the Rodimus or the Predaking, but you know what? There's a lot of good stuff here, and I know you guys. You guys like more than one thing, right? You're capable of that. So let me know in the comments below. And as always, I will see you next time.